Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 367 for May 20th, 2020. My name is Russell Frost and I am your tour guide on this week's adventure into advanced tech mobility and sustainable energy. And look at this amazing panel that we've assembled. It makes the Avengers look like timid losers.
Only Russell said that, not us.
Yeah, no, sorry. Captain America kicked my ass.
I love the Marvel movies, but come on. I mean, I can see Captain America, the Hulk in green down here. I'm not sure what Tony is.
Tony.
I'll have to think about
Stark.
that.
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark. Yeah.
Tony Stark, right there.
Oh,
Yes. Do I not
there
look
we
like
go.
Iron Man?
Well, then allow me to
Daddy
get the
Stark.
show going, and let's introduce the panel. My co-host, Mr. Tony Stark.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I wish, yeah. So that's it. Hey, everyone. Support your local brewery. Wait, wrong way. There we go. Support your local brewery. I'm drinking it's actually a black cherry hard seltzer, sparkly water.
Wow.
It is
that sounds
damn good. Oh my God. It is so good. Yep. So I'll be passed out about halfway through the show.
I could use some alcohol. I could definitely use some alcohol. And speaking of someone who can use some alcohol, he is the founder and owner of Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey everybody, and I did find some alcohol, so I'm drinking Colorado
Nice.
Native, even though I'm not a Colorado native. It's cold and it works.
As long as the beer is there.
Yeah.
Well, this is the half Canadian. Let's introduce the full Canadian, or one of our two full Canadians. He is the man with the best aero wheel cover collection in the Kitchener-Waterloo region, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. We've got quite a few news topics to hit today, so we better get to it.
We do indeed. Yes. And our other friend in Canada, you see him once in a while, not often enough on this show as far as I'm concerned, Mr. President of Canada, John B.
Hello. Welcome to the show, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for not being as dumb as our president.
Anytime.
Is that even possible?
No, not really. Not really. That's a pretty low bar to beat, like.
Cat isn't as dumb as our president.
Yeah. You could trip over that low bar.
Yeah.
Well, and our next panelist was complaining before the show that she'd straightened up and lost her cats. I think her cats. Maybe she's found them by now. We hope so. Georgia McKenzie.
Hello. And see?
Oh,
Wait
it's
through
a
that
cat.
yay!
There's a
This
floof.
is now
One way to
officially a
get
cat
rid of
video.
because otherwise she'll be throughout the whole show. She'll just be popping up next to me. Hey, what about me?
That's sort of my role on the show. It's just popping up next to people going, hey, what about me? And a man who I wouldn't describe as a floof, but our friend in the Mid-Atlantic region, home of the Supercharger Review channel on YouTube, Mr. Casey Green.
How's it going? Just got a new software update, and I'm about to take it through its paces.
Oh my God! Now what?
2020.16.2.1, and apparently two Model 3s downloaded 2020.20.
Does it
You're already
fly?
behind, Casey. You're already behind.
Yeah. So they've rearranged the interface a little bit, and not in a way that would disrupt you from driving. And they've I haven't seen it yet, but they've added animated pedestrians to the heads-up protection of what's going on.
Just like George's cat.
Hey, what about me? Look at me. Yeah.
There we go.
Well, it's better than them sliding like board game pieces across the way.
There we go. Well, our first story comes from the Front Range. And Mr. Paul Guzik is going to tell us about something that isn't an Avengers villain called Ultium.
Yes. Announcement came out this week, I guess the last couple of days, about a big ass battery factory in Lordstown, Ohio. I don't know if I want to say gigafactory, but pretty big.
No,
Yeah,
because
you
if
can
you're
call
done,
it a gigafactory.
No,
Now
no,
we've
no,
gotta
no, no.
send
It's
somebody
not
a
a
dollar.
gas.
But what's
It's a
interesting
big ass battery
is
factory because
it's
that
a big
sounds
ass
so
battery
much cooler.
factory with GM and LG in the same town where this Lordstown Motors pickup truck is to be built. Now, it doesn't say if it's the same building or down the street, but it's certainly a coincidence that it's in the same town. And it looks like GM is still on the bandwagon for EVs, and they're going to use these to power the Hummer and what's the automated thing that they're doing, the Cruise. Yeah. So, but that's cool. I'm really happy to see in these economic times that people are still hopefully building factories to build batteries, and let's hope that it comes to fruition. And it's going to create like 1,100 jobs in the Rust Belt, which is pretty cool.
I believe this is the old Lordstown factory that they're using. So that's
right.
Makes it even doubly cooler, right? More
Yeah.
jobs using the old building. You couldn't ask for more than that, you know?
And making significant volumes of quality EV batteries in America aside from Tesla. So it's pretty cool.
So are they going to do recycling there as well?
The article didn't say.
Okay.
And also because it's a separate entity, I would imagine that they'll sell them to other companies. Just like, the company that builds, or the company Toyota and Panasonic formed to make EV batteries for Toyota vehicles or hybrid batteries. I'm sure they sell them to other companies now as well. So this could be a good thing.
It's a beautiful
thing.
thing.
Entirely speculative, but as we've noted here before, that they're having a lot of trouble pivoting towards sustainable vehicles with the big three. And wouldn't it be cool if they discovered, you know what we really are missing here? It's not so much manufacturing the cars, but manufacturing the component technology we need for sustainable energy, because we are never, ever, ever not going to need local manufacture for the batteries, for the cells, for everything, because we got it into our heads as a nation that we could be like on top of the heap and just buy it from all those other people over there, and forgot that no, being able to manufacture it right here is a very, very important, critical part of not just our economic structure, but our military capabilities as a nation, being able to have your components handy right in your own homegrown territory. So it's going to be interesting to watch.
To be able to like make ventilators and face masks.
Surprisingly, we should probably have factories and knowledgeable people in our country that can do that at the turn of a dime, because there was a little war or two where we turned manufacturing factories towards that. Maybe was kind of important, but I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a woman.
Oh my God, that took a bad turn.
Exactly. Thank you.
You're not an orange orangutan?
No.
Yeah.
But the hate
Jordan, you're exactly right. Of course, everything you just said, you're exactly right. And hopefully GM and LG are coming together and making the batteries, because when you think of electric vehicles, we focus on the vehicle and the components and everything around the car, but it's the battery. You can't have an EV without the battery. And as Tesla has proven, a battery can be used for so many other things than just powering a car.
Yeah.
A steering wheel goes in a car, and the inducer goes in a car, but the battery can be used for storage, for municipal, for residential, for large utility level. So yeah, they bring a huge ass battery factory online, and it opens up so much potential for General Motors to get into other avenues that they may have never even considered.
And to have it in the Midwest, so if they got to crank up production, they're not waiting for a boat from Asia to get over here. It's going to be great for them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Plus, if they have to make changes, they can turn that change around a lot faster than, like you said, if they had to wait on a boat. Tesla found that out with the Roadster power plant. The batteries would come in, and they went through customs and all the re-engineering, and it was not what they needed anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Oops. Well, there you
Yeah.
go. That's
We'll
learning
keep
the
an
right
eye-
lessons.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on this over the years and see how they do.
I'm going to change things up just a little bit. Our next story was supposed to be me, but I'm going to follow John B. after he talks about two things that Toyota announced this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. So on Monday, May 18th, Toyota had a little unveiling on online streaming, and it unveiled two all-new, two hybrid models. And these two vehicles are only available in hybrid form when they go on sale. The first one is a long-awaited redesign of the Toyota Sienna minivan. The current one's been on sale since, 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Forever, basically, yeah. So, maybe it was a good thing that we waited this long, because then we can go, boom, straight into just hybrid form. A couple of specification differences, of course. So Toyota, to get them the highest MPG possible, it ditched the V6. It's a 4-cylinder hybrid system. It appears to be taken straight out of the new Highlander hybrid. So we're looking at about 243 horsepower system combined horsepower, and the big number, of course, would be 33 mpg combined. Presumably, that will be on the lower models with the smaller wheels. It ranges from 18 inches all the way up to 20 inch on the XSE model. A couple of nice things. Yeah, so the front design, a little bit more evolutionary, but the
It's
designer
still a
says
fugly minivan.
they said it was inspired by the Shinkansen. So
It was inspired by what?
Shinkansen,
The bullet
the
train.
bullet train. You can
It's
kind of
just-
see that in the nose, that little.
Totally.
You know how the bullet train? Yeah, there's that long round nose that sticks out. If you Google it, you'll find
If you
it.
squint
know.
really hard, maybe.
Gotta
Like
be
basically
And
everything
it's
above the giant
also
grill.
like the Shinkansen, it goes 300 kilometers an hour, right?
Yeah.
It does.
So is this
And
just
you
a
can always see
facelift
Mount
on
Fuji out the right side window.
Sorry, Casey.
is this just a facelift on a lightly modified frame, or is this all new for real?
It's all new. It's all new. It'll be on the TNGA-K platform. So that's the mid-size platform with the Highlander, Camry, RAV4, that sort of thing. All new chassis. So now it's finally caught up to it's the other Toyota models. Redesigned rear suspension. So again, any of these new Toyotas that are on the new TNGA platform, they will be stiffer. It'll be better to drive, better handling, better comfort, all within relative to the segment, of course. All-wheel drive will be available once again. I guess it's one of two now, because now the Chrysler's making all-wheel drive available on the 2021 Pacifica gasoline model, not the hybrid. Whereas the Sienna one will be a hybrid. It's a different all-wheel drive system where it can send 100% to the front and 0 to the rear when you're cruising, or up to 80% to the rear under slippery conditions. That's significantly better than, say, the RAV4. The current generation RAV4 hybrid, I believe, can only send up to 50%.
So I'm sorry, John. The Sienna we're still talking about the Sienna.
Yes.
I thought it was the same as the Highlander hybrid.
I don't know. It's like I'm just reading out the press release.
Yeah, no. Oh, okay. Well, then you obviously are going right to the source. I missed that, and that's super important, because the Highlander system is different, significantly different.
Really?
And
Oh, okay.
if it can use that much power to the back wheels, that's a big change. That's really cool.
That is significantly different. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Highlanders, the old Highlander system, only went up to 42 miles an hour.
Oh, okay. There's no speed limit to this, like you would say, but
that's a pretty badass all-wheel drive van.
See if I can find it here. All-wheel drive. Yep, there it is. Torque distribution varies with conditions from 100 to 0 in constant speed driving to 20 to 80 on slippery surfaces. Torque distribution indicated on a multi-information display.
Interesting.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, it's a minivan, and in the end, the MPG, the auto stop, and the electronic all-wheel drive, that's pretty cool. But let's be clear, the two coolest things about this thing, and this
I
is
know where you're going with this.
Yeah, right. The fridge and the vacuum.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I guess Honda did well with their vacuum for this to get copied over.
It must be. So Honda's one is in the back, right in the cargo area on the driver's side. Sienna's one will be under the front center console. So
That
different
makes sense.
placements.
That's where all the mess is.
I think the
Yeah,
the
Pacifica's in the
Cheerios
back
are.
too, isn't it?
What's that?
The Pacifica's vacuum is in the back or in the middle?
I am not aware where the Pacifica's.
Yeah, it's
vacuum's
either in the
located.
back or by the sliding door, or it's in the back. I forget.
Okay. Okay. So they
It's
all have
got a
different.
fridge for
they're
your
all
six
trying
pack
different-
also.
Yeah, I don't know how large it is. They did say it's available. It's accessible from the second row, so it's in the center. It's in the center console on the rear
So you
end.
got to get the kid to hand you your beverage.
Yes, come on.
Come
Or
on,
the kid to keep the beverage.
little
for
Jimmy, grab
themselves.
mommy a beer out of the fridge and hand it up
Yes.
front. Okay.
So is it one of the electronic
No, we didn't
little
say beer. We said
Is it one of the thermoelectric can coolers, or is it like the CRZ where it has like just a vent from the air conditioner?
No idea.
Oh.
No idea.
We'll have to.
I do
we'll have
know
to see it in
in-
person.
in-
Yeah.
Japanese market vehicles. Toyota has had refrigerators in them forever, like from the 90s. You know?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
They've had fridges. They've had terrestrial TVs. They've had navigation. They have a lot of
Massage
stuff.
chairs.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They've had all-wheel drive on all their vehicles, right? Corolla, Camrys, anything. This may be a relevant towing capacity is still 3,500 pounds.
Yeah.
So again, hybrid. Usually when you go hybrid, you can't tow, but now you can with the Sienna. And just to throw it out, compared to the Pacifica hybrid, in EV mode, because the Pacifica hybrid is a plug-in, it gets 82 mpg E. And I think in hybrid mode with the gasoline, I think it's hovering around 30 mpg. So the Sienna does beat it, when they're in the same drive modes. And that's really all we have for the Sienna.
You
of
could
course,
tow with the initial Highlander hybrid, correct?
the original. Yes, the original. The original had a 3,500 pound towing capacity.
Yeah.
The 2006, original Highlander hybrid, and that's a good segue to the Venza. Thanks for bringing that up. So the new Venza. So that's yes.
No, I was gonna say, what's smaller than a Highlander and a little bit bigger than a RAV4?
The Harrier. So I expect Ross to just stand up and walk out. So so our new Venza, for those who are maybe not car geeks, it is based on the Japanese Toyota Harrier, and the Harrier used to be the Toyota version of the RX, right? For the first two generation, and I think for the current generation, they kind of separated it a bit more, just because now Lexus is in Japan and they have their own lineup now, so they no longer need Toyota versions of these. But the Harrier continued, and that's what we basically have, changing the Harrier logos to the Toyota and rebadging it as a Venza. And I think it's the right size vehicle. You're looking at someone who's maybe doesn't need the space capacity or the passenger seating of the Highlander, and maybe the RAV4 is a little too rugged, because now the RAV4, they've kind of gone towards like a mini 4Runner, with the adventure grade, the TRD off-road trim levels, and they're trying to make it a little more adventure-y, outdoorsy. And if you're someone just looking for, a compact or small mid-size SUV, maybe you don't need all of that outdoorsy thing. You just want something that looks nice. This is the Venza that they have for you. The interior, again, because it's based on the Toyota Harrier, which has its lineage traced back to the RX, I am positive that the quality of the interior will be quite good. We've seen some of the photos, right, of the interior shots, and it looks quite elegant. The materials look pretty premium. A lot of stitched, either leather or Softex across the dashboard and the doors, as well as the overall design. Now, looking at the length and back to the Highlander, the original Highlander that Casey brought up, it is very similar to the original Highlander. So again, because the Highlander's gone up in size, it's pretty large. The RAV4 has also gone up in size, but not quite to the original Highlander. This Venza will fill in that void. So we're looking at 186.6 inches in length. So it's 5.7 inches longer than the RAV currently, but 8.3 inches shorter than the Highlander. So it's right there.
So are we just going to introduce more models to fill in the gap? Is this one of these, like, well, there's a half an inch, so let's put in a new model to fill in that space.
I mean, it's half a foot longer than a RAV and 3/4 of a foot shorter. So it's pretty decent.
Allow me to make a point here. We may be focusing on the wrong metric as far as where Toyota's wedging this vehicle into the lineup. It may not be physical size. It may be price.
Yes, that's it. Could be price, could be material.
Yeah. Because I saw that 50K on the Sienna, and I was like, "Oh, for someone else."
Yeah.
Well, and Highlanders are 50K plus.
They're pushing. Yeah. The Highlander hybrids, the top models do qualify for the luxury tax in Canada. So that's how far up the price rank they've gone. There will be luxury tax. If you were to buy one of the top end Highlander, like the Limiteds or the Platinum. So this Venza, again, the right size, right price, probably. Again, just looking at the specs compared to the original Highlander, it's only 2 inches longer than the original Highlander hybrid. It's 2 inches wider than the original, or 1 inch, sorry, than the original Highlander hybrid. But it is 3 inches shorter. So because the original Highlander hybrid was boxy, you remember that. This one's a little more sleek. And of course, it can't beat the MPG, whereas the old one got 30 MPG under the old pre-2008, 2007 EPA rating. Whereas this new one is 40 MPG for the LE with the 18-inch, probably 38, 39 for the XLE and Limited because they have the larger 19-inch wheels. Horsepower, it's a little different. I mean, it's 219 on the Venza, 268 on the Highlander hybrid, but the weight difference, it is anywhere between 300 to 500 pounds lighter than the original Highlander hybrid.
Wow.
So that's significant. So yeah, it's down in horsepower, but significantly lighter. We're looking at 3,900 pounds, give or take, whereas the original was 42 to 44 pounds. And
I do think the original Highlander, like the 06, 07, that was a perfect size vehicle. I mean, I think it's great. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's got cargo. It was a nice size.
Exactly
so if this is comparable to that, I think it will do well.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing it doesn't have the third row that the Highlander, the original one, it did, but the original one is quite.
The
small.
third row is like this big.
Yeah, you only fit toddlers in that thing.
Exactly. So, and cargo, it's a little bit down from the RAV just because it's not squared off. It has that sloping rear window, 36.3 cubic feet. The original Highlander is 39.7. I think the RAV4 is around 37, 38. I can't remember now. So. Yeah, so I think it's a good time to reintroduce. I mean, sure, use the Venza name, whatever. But in terms of the vehicle, the product,
did they give a price for the Venza?
No pricing for both.
No,
The Venza launch date is August, I think. So probably, we'll probably.
I think they just said this summer.
Okay.
No. Well,
because what I did was I went to the Toyota site and I pulled up and this is just base and where it lists all the cars, and the RAV4 hybrid, not the Prime, the RAV4 hybrid starts at $28,350 and the Highlander hybrid is at $38,200.
Okay.
So do you think that this will be $5,000? It'll be that middle land between.
Be right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle between the RAV4 and the Highlander. Yeah.
Well, the car and driver says. They do say it will reach in August, and they estimate mid-30s to 45K.
Sounds about right for the LE to Limited.
Venza, yeah.
That's about almost exactly the same as the Highlander.
I know, which is kind of funny.
Which is weird, yeah.
Did the Venza ever go out of production, or is this a continuation?
Went out of production in 2015.
Okay.
But
the old Venza, really poor job of marketing the Venza.
Yeah, it was same as the Honda Cross Tour.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think the Sienna is definitely we bought a kid, so let's buy a giant boat SUV, sustainable. And this one is I want the manly vehicle of full of aggression and SUV-ishness, but sustainable. And I mean, so. It's not so much the price points, but I see these as appealing to two different groups who are very much the minivan / SUV market, because I like the Venza, and it's to me, it's just a little too much and a little too big. So I think it'll be perfect for your average American.
I think so. It's someone who's like the kids have moved out.
Yeah.
They want to They want a slightly smaller vehicle, but they don't want a RAV4 because whatever.
It's too adventure-y. Ooh.
It's too much for the 20-year-old.
This looks like a luxury vehicle that you wouldn't and when people look at you because you're driving basically a 5-seater by yourself, but it's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid.
Totally sustainable.
And again, like I said, it's based on the Harrier, which is based on the RX, or the RX is based on the Harrier rather. So, I expect the materials to be much better than either the RAV4 or the Highlander actually.
Yeah.
So the smart thing here, and I'm going to segue into my new Toyota vehicle, is that Toyota's already developed all the technology they're deploying in these vehicles. This is existing Toyota technology that they're just moving into different platforms. They didn't have to develop a new hybrid powertrain. They didn't have to develop a different all-wheel drive system. They're just, okay, we're going to drop a Venza on this. We're going to drop, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing because hopefully, obviously, Toyota makes more money that way. And hopefully they can price it a little more aggressively so that people can take advantage of getting that technology at a little bit lower price. I just finished now lower price. Let's talk about lower price for a second. I just finished a week with the Highlander Hybrid, and I got to tell you, it's way big car for me. I'm not a big, but it's a really brilliant vehicle. It drives like a vehicle that is much smaller than it is. However, I drove the Platinum Limited Edition, $52,250.
Wow.
Now, is it worth it? Well, that's a subjective question. I would I was really impressed with the vehicle, and I thought it was just going to be I just drove this big hybrid Toyota. It's an amazing vehicle. It's got tons of room. It's the panoramic roof. It makes you feel like you're driving almost in a convertible. It's very big and open and airy. All of which is to say, all that and all the details coming soon in our full What Drives Us review, which is why you need to go to youtube.com/whatdrivesus, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button so that you will get a notification when that review comes out, maybe this weekend.
All right.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, give us a teaser, Russell. What was your average MPGs on that?
You know what? I'm because I love all of our viewers and listeners. I'm going to give you more than a teaser.
Oh.
The very first day I got it, drove out to the desert. Okay. Over a 5,000 foot mountain range, switchbacks, gnarly switchbacks, up and down, 82 miles each way. Okay. 35.2 MPG. And I was not sparing the gas pedal. In my opinion, moving a vehicle that big up those hills and into the desert at 35 MPG, that's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It
Presumably, you can nudge that up a few number. You can probably nudge that up once you get into the city urban driving.
A little bit, yeah. I was able to get I think the highest MPG I got was like 39.
Still impressive.
No, excuse me. It was just over 40. Just a freeway trip to San Diego, about 30 miles. Just on the freeway, cruise, going. As everybody knows, I'm not a hypermiler. That's Tony, and that's other people on the show. I'm not good at it. I can do it, but it's not my thing.
But these are great examples of Toyota's hybrid stuff because the traditional Sienna in town, real world, is like 16 MPG. It's awful.
Yeah.
So if you can get double that with a minivan, taking the kids to school, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And I will like to mention the current generation Toyota hybrids. So that will be right now would be in the Prius, the Corolla, the Camry, RAV4, Highlander, and of course the Sienna and Venza. I've noticed that the EPA numbers are a little underdone. So in other words, most people can match it, but it's very easy to beat it. Right. So I think the
especially for Tony.
Rated, yeah, but you don't even have to be a Tony. Right?
Don't even have to try anymore.
And Russell, right? Yeah. Because what's the Highlander rated at? 32?
35.
Oh, it is rated at 35.
It is rated at 35. Yeah.
So drive it like a normal person, and you got 35. So I'm like these numbers that we're seeing here.
Old person?
Yeah.
Old person? Do I need to come up there and talk to you?
And
Just
normal.
rolled off his
His
tongue a little
hearing is
too
going
easy,
down
didn't it?
as
Person.
Oh my God.
Freudian slip right there. I meant to say.
Freudian. Uh-huh.
I should look
Oh
elsewhere.
boy. Keep shoveling.
Keep digging.
John.
Keep digging.
Yeah.
Tony,
Anyway,
can you mute his
anyway,
mic? Can you?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Thanks. And I don't want to beat this up. We'll move on to the next story here in just a second. But again, because of Venza, Sienna, Highlander, these are vehicles I often see back when, remember when we had schools and kids that went to schools and we had long lines of vehicles with exhaust coming out the tailpipe because somebody was going to be there. I look forward to all those vehicles being hybrids so that the engine isn't running the whole time it's parked. When they're parked in the drive-through line or whatever it is, that we're polluting less. I know it's not as cool as an electric car. There's no argument about that. But getting somebody out of an ICE-only car into a hybrid, that's huge. That is a huge benefit for all of us. So
And then, so I wanted to ask this before, and of course, I don't think we know the answer. So it's more of a rhetorical question, but when is Toyota going to follow Chrysler Pacifica model and make the minivan a plug-in? Make it a prime? I mean, we don't sit on the board. We're not in those meetings, but this seemed to be like the perfect opportunity. If you were going to roll this out as a hybrid, you make it a plug-in hybrid.
They probably got the headroom for it in the profitability.
Yeah, and the chassis, again, because the RAV4 is built on the same chassis, and it's coming out as a plug-in. So basically, any of those vehicles, Camry, Highlander, Sienna, Venza, any one of those on the platform can be easily converted. Well, not easily,
So
You
we
gotta
know
have something for
Toyota's
next model year.
we know Toyota's business model is always bring it out and then a 2-year refresh.
The RAV is a test for that. They're going to test the plug-in water at that kind of vehicle, and then if it works, I would imagine they'd roll it out for the other ones.
I agree. Because the RAV and the NX will be next, right? After the RAV4, the Lexus Nx, which is basically a cousin of the RAV.
Right. Not like that cool Lexus UX hybrid that is amazing.
Can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
I'm not being sarcastic. I'm waiting for Tony to react.
It's a piece of shit.
He hates it. I love it.
I hated it.
Just this morning saying if I could find a used UX, I would buy it in a heartbeat. A UX hybrid, excuse me.
Yeah.
Because I love that car so much. Oh.
Hated it.
Come up to Canada.
Well, there we go.
There's a
There
lot
we go. Speaking of hybrids and electric cars that are coming out, let's go to Mark for one that sadly we're not going to see.
Yeah, this is a follow-up story to what we've done a number of months ago when we heard that the vacuum manufacturer Dyson was planning on putting together an EV. And yes, it probably would have sucked. But I had to do it.
Had to do it.
Wait for the laugh.
What has come to light is James Dyson has actually, I guess, provided some of the specs of the vehicle. And it had been announced a week or so ago that they're not going to produce it. Now, this was a bit of a spectacular vehicle, and we've even got a photo of the concept that we can share here. Here we go. So not a bad looking 7-seater SUV, 3 rows. A little bit low, but of course aerodynamics with a plug-in is what they were after there. It had a 600-mile range at 70 plus miles per hour on the freeway.
Wow.
So this was no slouch. The car would do 0 to 62 in 4.8 seconds. It had dual motors on the axles, and the car it looked really good. It was a good-looking vehicle. Certainly the specs were good. It had a bit of a minimalistic kind of Tesla S interior. Looked good. There wasn't any problem with that. The real problem came when they had to, there was going to be about a $2 billion capital cost to set up the line and get this thing running. But the real problem is when they said, well, what can we sell it for and be profitable? they were going to have to sell it at about $182,000 US. So they started to look at the market.
Wow.
They started to look at how much the market could bear a $182,000 vehicle, and they realized that they were never going to make the money back. That vehicle was not going to be able to sustain itself with the number of people that would buy it. So they shelved it after putting in $600 million in development costs and looking at what it's going to do, engineering, and I can't fault them on that. There's no point in spending good money after bad. If you realize the plan is not going to work, then you've got to have the foresight to call it off, and that's exactly what happened with this vehicle. Now, hopefully, as maybe things change in the EV world, as maybe solid state batteries come out, as maybe prices drop, they may be able to come back with some sort of a re-engineering of this vehicle or something smaller. But they have it in their archive. It's not like they burnt the plans. But as it sits now, Dyson cannot be competitive in an EV market with what they wanted to accomplish.
You know what it reminds me of?
In the article, does it have a vacuum in the back? Like the
That's exactly
Of course,
right.
it had two vacuums, Paul. Of course it did.
Never gonna let go.
And did it have a hand dryer to dry your hands?
Right. Yeah.
That was in the glove box.
Yeah.
So you know what it reminds me of is the Faraday Future FF91,
It does.
both in styling and in price.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I was kind of surprised that Dyson decided to bail on this, or, maybe they'll start looking at, what they can do to make a more affordable vehicle. Because, we hear things like Faraday Future, for example, and we know Tesla struggled at the very beginning. And the thing is, they were literally a one-trick pony. If their electric vehicles didn't sell, they were done. Mm-hmm. Dyson already has a global business. They already have products that are making money. This is a sidebar venture that they're doing basically, for fun. I would like to think
$2 billion capital startup is probably not a sidebar to them.
Well, okay, true, but if they could spend the $2 billion and spin up and make a more affordable, under $100,000 US dollars, under $75,000. Then they would start getting into the realm where they could start making that money back. That's all I'm saying is, it's not like for Dyson, it's succeed or die.
Yeah, and all their stuff is already premium priced anyway.
Yes, they are.
The Dyson dude, he's the richest guy in England. He's actually worth more than Branson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just paid $600 million for a hobby car for himself, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I am fine with. I mean, I like the looks of it. I love the stats. It would be really cool if we can have some innovation.
We could buy it for $32,000.
Yeah.
It'll be really cool if we get some of the innovations out of it, because I think about that, a 600-mile range.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome.
Or even better, Paul, maybe you do pay the $182,000, but you get 4 free with the price.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if it has some technology like to eliminate the dog hair in the car.
That's easy. You don't allow a dog in the car in the first place.
Yeah.
Hey, it works for me.
There's a curling iron in the blow dryer in the glove box.
The glove box. The air filtration system. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's a good vehicle, and like Joe just said, hopefully we'll see some innovations from it. It's not all for naught.
A bioweapon defense filter that doesn't require changing the filter out. You just wipe it down.
There you go.
Yeah.
It'll be
It's certainly something. Cheers to him for giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Cheers to him for having the judgment to say, you know what, I'm pulling the plug on this because it's not going to fly.
Not gonna fly anymore. Yeah.
So let's talk about another project. Thank you very much for that, Mark, by the way. Tony has some news about another project that had its plug pulled, as they say.
I was honestly saddened by
weren't.
this. I was literally
No one wants
saddened by
this.
this. No, okay, hold on.
It is
let me put this up.
ugly.
It is not fugly. Come on.
Sure.
This is the
yeah.
GM Arrive.
It
It's
looks like
spelled
a broken
ARIV.
It looks like the pedals look like the bike that just wants to run away.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, John.
Like one of those lizards in the desert where it's too hot for him to stay put.
Exactly, Casey. Yeah, that's good.
This is such a piss poor design.
Anyway, go on.
Okay, with everything,
for
there's
people
room
with
for
1
improvement,
foot
but I
long
like the
legs.
simplistic, the minimalistic bicycle design, that it doesn't have the diamond, looking frame, and I like it. It's
Tony.
But that's a kid's bike, right? Like, how could an adult pedal that thing?
I don't know. The seat goes up.
Is there a pedal?
At which point it looks even more ungainly.
Okay, maybe that's why
The
they
tires are too small. The whole thing is.
All right. Well, okay.
It's more
So you'll be glad to know that GM killed it there. Suck it.
They made the right call.
Squash that bug.
God, I liked it. I thought it was, again, I think it's a nice looking minimalistic frame. I like the styling. GM killed it. And of course, they blamed COVID-19 for killing it.
Of course.
Which to me is a piss poor, stupid excuse, because the market has shown that e-bike manufacturers have actually seen a spike in sales.
Huge.
Yeah,
bikes.
and they're talking like 400% sale increase, because now, because people are getting more bikes and moving around, using the bicycles, and then GM comes out and says, well, we're going to kill it because COVID-19.
Did it have a prolonged cough before they killed it?
It was
Sorry, just had to add that.
It had a temperature.
They had someone in the board. I was going to say, if GM kills it, that basically means the market's growing. So.
Yeah, Mark's on fire tonight. Jeez.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. I don't know what to say. Of course, GM would kill something that's experiencing an explosive growth in that product category. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, their offering in that category would be the fuggliest. I mean, just those wheels are so ridiculously small. Like, is the whole point of this thing to be like a commuter bike?
I'm not exactly sure.
It's a last mile bike.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now I will
No,
say that
because it's like designed to like fold up and carry on the subway or the train.
this one, the model I showed was the folding e-bike. So let me see. Let me just see if I can find.
You don't have to. There's a competitor in the UK called Flit, F-L-I-T. Yeah. They have a folding bike, and it looks fairly similar, right, with the small wheels, because the idea is, you fold it up and you just truck it onto the train, get to whatever the town you need to, and then when you get off the train, unfold it and bike to your destination.
And not to drag this out too much, but I mean, the whole idea of a folding e-bike is kind of dumb. A 1 mile last mile bike, and you're going to fill it up with heavy batteries.
Well, it's not. It's more than it was designed to go along with the Bolt. They actually had a roof rack for it. You could either fold it up, or it could be put as the whole unit. It could fit either way. It could fold up and fit in the back hatchback. But certainly it could go more than a mile as your last mile. But I guess the idea was that you could leave your car charging somewhere and quickly get to someplace else with the bike.
Sure.
And it does yoga. See?
Now it looks like it broke.
I'm not exactly sure what that's.
This is
like downward dog bike. I'm not sure what that is.
It's so funny. That's actually the seat at the correct height too.
Yeah.
When it should be. I don't know.
I think I saw that in a modern art gallery one day.
Right.
If not, Jeff Koons will rip it off and put it up soon.
Hey.
Did I step on something sensitive there?
Nah, because I don't like Jeff Koons.
Yeah, I'm not a big Koons fan either. Sorry. Okay, well, let's go on to our final topic, which I'm going to whoa, oh, there we go. That's the Bolt with the
fugly bike on the roof.
a fugly bike on the roof, which
Oh.
I got nothing.
Looks better there.
So, Tony, I'm not going to steal your thunder here. You intro this story however you want. And so this is sort of a Tony and Casey story, and everybody, but
It's sort of an everybody story, and okay. So I've said on most of our shows, leave us comments, give us feedback. We do read the comments. We do take them very seriously, and honestly, except for the one guy who keeps posting "wannabe friends," I don't know what the hell that.
No, we don't.
About.
Delete
But
that.
no,
Don't interact with it.
actually,
It's an attempt to hack your account.
I know. No, no, don't. So we did a story last. It was on 358. It was show 358. And so we put up the short 358.2, Tesla's South Australia battery is a major success. And Judge TK wrote us a very lengthy comment. And what it lacks in brevity, it more than compensates in incoherentness and typos. But I believe what he was driving at, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be mean to our viewers. He basically gets around to saying you're pussyfooting around it, somehow like almost implying that we're part of like big energy, that we don't say anything bad about utilities, we only say positive things, we don't talk about where the money is, and then down towards the end, he literally says, "Grow a pair." And so I did read this whole thing, and my first thought was, you've never watched the show, have you?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, literally, we take every opportunity we can to, we're not afraid to say anything because we're not beholden to anyone and we have nothing to be sued over. So, screw it. Yeah. So what I said was, okay, you want a rebuttal? Let's rebut. Florida's got some jackass funked up laws when it comes to putting solar on your roof. There are countries around the world that if you try to put up solar, they will shut you down and tell you that it's illegal to live in your house.
Yep.
And this is true. And we have people, Casey, for example, who very much knows this firsthand. And I was kind of hoping Patrick would be on this week so he could talk about it as well. Yeah. But, I'm going to kick it over to Casey because you have firsthand experience.
Yep. So I bought my house in South Carolina with, it had 8 panels on it when we bought it. And when we moved in, it had 16 on it. I don't know how that happened. And then I added more, so it has 27 on it now. And I was charging all of my EVs up on it. And at some point, the power company came and said, "You've got 27 panels. We have 8 here." Despite the fact that the same company installed all of the panels, all 27 of them. And each time I could see a copy of their reports as they went in because for some reason I was registered as a solar installer myself, and I could see the filings come in on my account. And so all the paperwork was in, approved and everything. And they came back and said, "Yeah, you need to remove all the extra panels except for the original 8, or we're going to disconnect your power." And I'm like, at my cost. And I don't have batteries on the house, so that would have actually left me sitting in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane, and they can't say I didn't need the power because I still had a positive bill. Like I had to pay them when I was charging the cars. Occasionally, I would have.
And this was your home as a homeowner.
Yes.
And this was not the government. This was a private company telling you what you can't do on your own roof.
Right.
A government-allowed monopoly.
A government-allowed monopoly, yes.
Yes, yes.
And I mean, it's not like they owed me a lot of money. Occasionally, I would have a negative $4 bill. I'm driving the biggest, baddest, fuel-thirstiest SUV electric on the planet. I mean, I went from 98 and 89 miles per gallon with the Volt and the Model S to I'm getting 84 miles per gallon equivalent with the Model S. It's they had no grounds to say I didn't have a use case for that power.
And then that's even stupid that they come at it and say you have they're questioning your use case for putting solar on your roof. Again, it's a private company. Who are they to come in and question why you want to put that much solar on your roof?
Was this Duke Energy, Casey?
It was. I think it is now. It was sdg&e at the time, and now they belong to Virginia Power.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, Duke was the one I had before them. But
yeah.
So they just cited some obscure regulation.
Right, but it's insane. I bought them with my money. It's not like I bought them on the power subsidy and I went over on the subsidy and I owe them some money. No, it's ridiculous. What I had planned to do was put some power walls on there and then curtail it. So that way, when it got to exactly zero, they would disconnect me from the grid. But I moved.
Now it is sometimes that these utilities set a solar threshold up for everybody, because they don't want you going above the 8 panels or whatever the amount is, because they're scared that the entire block will do what you did, and then they have a problem. They've got to have the transformer ability to take in that power. They've got to have the wiring set on the entire street properly. There may be infrastructure that they have to put in place. That's probably why they have a limit of 8. But it makes no sense that you hired them to put the panels up in the first place.
Right.
So I would have to say
it's
not even like they on them, because they're the ones that were the installing utility at all times.
It's not always a surprise to them. But here's the thing: all of that power that was excess, that wasn't going into my car, was going to my neighbors to run the air conditioner. This is South Carolina. It's not like it was chilly in the middle of the summer. And the next county over is exactly like Georgia said. They actually charge you a fee on top of your electric bill, on top of the excess generated. That's why the Powerwall even has the setting where you can, when you hit zero, it'll just unplug. Any excess you return to the grid in that county, the next county over, they charge you for it, which is insane. So you're paying a power bill, even though they're then taking the money, taking the electricity, reselling it, and making more money on it, which is fucking insane.
and that's the thing. The utilities these days, I mean, they make money on the entire transaction of everything in the electrical system, from producing the power, transmitting the power, selling it, delivering it, and they don't want you to come in and literally take stuff away. And like Mark said, they don't want everyone on the block now to start, technically, quote unquote, producing electricity.
But they could take my power and sell it to my neighbor for free.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
one thing I can say is that with utilities acting in this type of manner, as Casey had mentioned, if he had a chance, he would cut them off completely and walk away with putting his own infrastructure in place. And I can't think of the number of businesses and individuals that are exactly on that same thought. All they have to do is get it to a little bit more cost competitiveness, or the utility pushes them a little bit harder, and the utility is going to find themselves without a lot of customers.
Yeah.
If the state law allows that.
Yeah, because that's the other problem. A lot of state laws will foreclose or not foreclose, well, they could condemn your home if you don't have grid connection.
If you're not, for instance, in California, unless you have like a remote a genuinely remote cabin, you cannot be off grid with a residential structure. Yeah. That's just the law. Now, is that a good law? In some cases it is. In some cases it's stupid. But that's
a little antiquated.
That's the way here. I mean,
that's a good word. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's
there's nothing stopping you from
to be part of your municipal utilities commission, because I have sat through enough of those meetings myself. And if you have an opinion on this, you know where you need to be. You need to be in a seat at any meeting where they are trying to come up with the rules and regulations for your municipality, for because it's not just power. I can tell you about people for whom water collection could be fined. Yes. I know in some areas of Nevada, because the actual local government claims every drop of rain that can land and fall into the aquifer. And so if you have a rain barrel, you could be in violation of your local law.
Colorado,
you're literally stealing water from the aquifer.
Yep.
And again, there's always a few outlying fringe examples of like, well, that's a really good reason because this person was a crazy whack nut and shouldn't have been doing what they were doing. But most people do things reasonably.
Yeah, like Chuck on Better Call Saul. I could get that. Yeah. But I mean, if you have heat, cool, and your food is safe and you can cook and clean, because you have freaking batteries. I mean, come on.
Right. And so in July of last year, the New York Times had an article, and they were talking about in Florida, and they were talking about Duke Energy, but a lot of what they said spans the entire utilities around the country in the United States. And they have a statement here that just says, utilities will spend tens of millions of dollars a year lobbying with ad campaigns, political contributions. They do everything they can to sway the politicians, and then sometimes even trying to undermine the mentality of the consumers themselves to convince them that doing solar or off-grid is a bad idea.
Florida tried to get a law put on the books where they called it like the defense of solar power or defense of sunlight or some shit like that, where if you voted yes, you were actually voting against being able to put solar power. And thankfully the voters all saw through it. I mean, that's the beauty of this new tech is that you can actually make your meter stand still. So if you must be connected, oh yeah, I'm connected. Here's your $4 a month to get the fuck off my property.
Right. For a time, I dealt with solar issues here in San Diego, home of San Diego Gas and Electric, SDG&E, one of the most rapacious utilities in the nation. Selling solar here is really easy if you've got a double-digit IQ, because the power rates are crazy here. But SDG&E would do the same thing to us. They would drag their feet. They would slow approvals down. If it had a battery system, it would take an extra 4 weeks to be inspected. Bob, I mean, and of course they're like, we support this. We want you to go solar. Ha 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 ha. And then they would lobby Sacramento to change the law for the next year so that they could charge worse net metering rates.
Yeah.
When I was, so I left a couple of years ago. Well, had my head cut off. And at that point, SDG&E was selling electricity for about 42 cents, unless you were like in the really extreme range. Oh, they could charge up to $1.80 a kilowatt.
Yikes!
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it was a beautiful scam, and it's still a beautiful scam. Anyway, so 42 cents an hour, their buyback. Okay, so on net metering 3, their buyback rate was about 3 to 4 cents a kilowatt hour. So they would buy back your excess electricity and then sell it back to you if you needed it.
So did they also do that timeshare scheme where they pay for the panels and then you pay extra for solar power, and then when you leave they keep the panels in a field somewhere?
I'm not sure, Casey. What?
Like the community solar where everybody buys into it. You don't really own it.
Yeah, I never dealt with any of that. I was all strictly residential, and we did, power purchase agreements and leases and all of that, and that's
that's on the edge.
Kind of scummy. And that's we don't need to go there, but the problem is, of course, you have government sanctioned monopolies controlling this stuff, and unless, as Georgia so aptly said, unless you're involved, you're just subject to whatever they decided to do.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
They count on that.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that, we're not on the side of big utility. And as far as we're concerned, they can go kiss each other's ass because they're doing some very grand things. I just envisioned an elephant trail, but they're doing some really.
Do I need to step in here?
Yeah, they're doing some really fucked up things to keep this country from moving forward. As much as they talk about energy independence and, the United States needs to be energy independent, and that's just code word for drill more oil. True energy independence is allowing the individuals and the businesses, the municipalities to put up their own solar, put up their own wind, to do the things that can generate at a micro level so that we don't have to manage these macro utilities that we have to worry about the grid going down. Yeah. If more people had solar on their house and we had a true mesh network, we would literally, like Casey said, be feeding our neighbors, and it would be seamless. But they get in the way of allowing us to progress to that level, and that just super sucks.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I think that wraps it up for tonight. So let's do some shout outs and go home. And I'm going to start with my friend Paul Guzik, who works a long day and then comes and sits for an hour and does this show, and I always feel bad. So, Paul, start us
Well,
off.
we're over already, so I'm just going to say good night. We'll see you next time. No shout out.
Thank you, Paul. If you're anywhere near the Front Range and you have an EV or a hybrid, you need to visit Paul, boulderhc.com, or if you want to buy,
Yes.
you can go to boulderhc.com and see what
Or
exciting
H.
things. Oh, it's Boulder H. I'm sorry, boulderh.com to buy one of his. Do we call them certified pre-owned, or are they gently
Used cars.
used cars? Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. They're
When you
used.
certify them, do you have a stamp that says certified
Previously
by Paul?
enjoyed.
Yeah, rode hard, put away
Enjoy.
wet. Yeah, there we go. Very
Vintage.
nice. Mr. John B. Any shout-outs?
No, none today. But just stay healthy, wash your hands, stay 6 feet apart, 2 meters. Yeah, we'll get through this.
Excellent advice. Mr. Green.
So I've got some videos coming up. One showing how to work the auto park and the Tesla model, everything, and then as well as the latest software update. I've got a review coming up on it now that I've got it, and then hopefully it'll be finished before the new one comes out and hits the car. So you can find that at youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEY Green.
Beautiful. Mr. Coughlin, what's going on in the Great White North?
Just a shout out to the Waterloo Region EVA. You can follow us on Twitter at WREVA Group. Yeah, if you care to see what's going on in the Great White North.
And is my Chesterfield still at Tepperman's?
No, it's gone.
It's gone. I knew it. Some bastard stole it. Georgia.
No shout outs, but I'm going to say let's all have a moment of silence for the Arrive e-bike. You were born ugly, and you were born.
The departed e-bike.
And thank God that there are other e-bikes out there, people.
Yeah. And no moment of silence. We're not going to pour one out for the Dyson EV.
Well, look, like I said, that's a $600 million hobby car, and I think he can afford it. I don't pour anything out.
Me either. Last and not least, Mr. Tony Schaefer. Bring us
I
home.
want to make sure everyone knows, if you have not yet watched the Tom Bodette special,
Thank you.
watch here at What Drives Us, look for Tom Bodette, and then after you've watched that, head over to the Tesla Life and watch their version of the Tom Bodette interview.
People, don't do that. Just watch one of them. That's all you need to watch.
Spoiler, they're the same.
Watch them side by side and listen for the differences.
That I like.
Yeah.
Slightly out of sync.
Okay, I got to tell you honestly, and this is a teaser, I suppose. I had no idea that Tom Bodette was all in that much on everything. I was like, and it just kept going.
Yeah.
From the massive solar farm to the heat pump to the geeking out and the whole air handling system. And I mean, the dude knew the tech. And I was like, damn, Tom, that was a great interview. If anyone has not watched it, and my apologies to the audio listeners, I haven't gotten that up on audio yet. I'll do that as soon as I can. Otherwise, if you want to read all the news that we're reading, make sure you check us out on our social presence on Facebook.com. Leave us comments, suggest news items, and if you use Flipboard as a news aggregator, make sure you look for the What Drives Us magazine in Flipboard.
Thank you, Tony. You saved me a moment of acknowledging the Tom Bodette interview, but I'm just going to say his name one more time. Tom Bodette. Search our channel. Check it out. It's a great interview.
And
He'll leave the light on for you.
Tom Bodette.
And he will leave the light on for you. Absolutely. But it's going to be an LED and it'll be powered by a solar array, okay?
Yeah.
And his battery system, lead acid battery system, just to go full on old school. Thank you.
Wow, that is old school.
I love that so much. As always, our thanks to Michael Mannering for his amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com and buy his brand new album, Small Moments, on any place that sells or streams music. You can listen to it for free and buy it if you love it. And you love it because it's going to be a great album. It is a great album. Do check it out. Once again, youtube.com/What Drives Us, facebook.com/What Drives Us. We're at What Drives Us on Twitter. What Drives Us Show on Patreon. And I really tried this week with the Highlander on Instagram. I tried so hard.
You're too old for Instagram.
I'm happy to help you. Yes.
I don't know what I need. I just don't know what I need.
You need TikTok, Russell.
No. I don't have to dance.
God, oh, no, that's the other thing that we didn't need. Okay. I was going full Gramps Simpson, and I'm not going there. I want to thank everybody on this amazing panel for a great show tonight. We went through a ton of news, and thanks to all of you guys for working so well together. Tony Schaefer, John B., Mark Coughlin, Paul Guzik, Casey Green, and my dear friend, Georgia McKenzie. Thank you so much. And, of course, thanks to all of you who every week tune in or listen. Maybe you view us on YouTube on your phone. I don't know. Check us out next week and find out what's going on. No, wait, I'm doing the sign off for the Tesla light.
Just when I thought we were done.
Just tuck an onion on your belt and call it at the end of it.
Good night, everyone.
Just cue the music.
I must miss doing the show, Mark. I don't know.
12
hogs.
Right here.
See you next week, everybody. Stay safe.